Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. All the way from sunny, lovely New Zealand. 10:47 on Friday the 15th of the 5th, 2020. We, as of yesterday, have come down to alert level 4. Down to alert level 2. So I can imagine the supermarkets with their fried chicken and hot food will be inundated. I noticed huge lines outside the local warehouse. How could I explain that to my American friends? Costco, maybe. That big chain store of you guys that most of you hate. I can't think. Anyway, who cares? Right, today I want to talk about Joe Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon Church. He was a huckster, and nobody who knew him had anything nice to say about him or his family. Now, Joe was arrested in 1926 for glass looking, and the Mormon Church admits that. But they say, he was arrested but never convicted. It was all these anti-Mormons had a personal vendetta against him. But now we've actually found the court transcripts of the court case. He was convicted. Stop lying, Mormon Church. What is glass looking? Crystal ball gazing would be something similar. He would pretend to be able to find buried treasure on your property. He had this magic rock that was an occultic seer stone. He would place it in his hat and try and find buried treasure. Now, of course, when he couldn't find buried treasure, the excuses came. Oh, the spirits made it disappear, or there must be some sin, excuses. So he was taken to court and convicted, basically for being a con man. So let's have a look. Okay. Glass looking, peepstone gazing as well, and that's exactly how he translated the Book of Mormon. You see pictures in Mormon churches of Joseph Smith sitting at a table, really intent, looking at these plates and writing them down, as if it was translated. No. He would put a seer stone into a hat, put his hat over his face. The scribe or person writing was in a different part of the room, separated by a curtain. Nobody saw the plates. They say they did, but they either admitted they lied or they admitted they saw it in vision. If I say close your eyes and imagine an elephant. There, I've just seen an elephant in my mind's eye. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, the proceedings of a court hearing dated March 20th, 1826, the state of New York versus Joseph Smith, the glass looker. It's revealed that Joseph Smith, quote, had a certain stone which he had occasionally looked at to determine where hidden treasures in bowels of the earth were, and had looked for Mr. Stoll several times. the hearing ruled the defendant guilty of money, digging. Peepstone gazing was one of several occult practices deemed illegal in the 1920s. The Joseph Smith's peepstone gazing episodes met their challenge with the law is irrefutably documented. The original court bill of 1826 charging Smith with glass-looking was discovered by Reverend Wesley P. Walters in 1971 at the Chenango County Jail, Norwich, New York. Now, I think what Mormons would do is they would attack Reverend Walters. Oh, he hated Joe, he had a problem. Okay, forget about that. Were the documents real? It doesn't matter who found them. That's the issue. Let's not talk about the person who found them. Let's talk about what was found. The trial for the misdemeanor crime cost $2.68, which Smith apparently paid. A copy of the original court bill is reproduced in Walter Martin's The Maze of Mormonism, 1978, page 37. Again, Mormons will attack Walter Martin. Ignore that. Verify what Walter Martin presents. I've also got a copy of the transcript, okay? Mormons, I'm sorry, my friends, you cannot get out of it. Joe was convicted. Okay, so here is the transcript, basically. State of New York versus Joseph Smith. Warrant issued upon written complaint upon oath of Peter G. Bridgeman, who informed that one Joseph Smith of Bainbridge was a disorderly person and an imposter. Prisoner brought before court March 20th, 1826. Prisoner examined. Says that he came from the town of Palmyra and had been at the house of Josiah Stoll in Bainbridge most of time since. Had small part of time being employed by said Stoll on his farm and going to school. That he had a certain stone which he had occasionally looked at to determine where hidden treasures in the bowels of the earth were. That he professed, remember this is the court records, to tell in this manner where gold mines were a distance underground, and had looked for Mr. Stoll several times, and had informed him where he could find these treasures, and Mr. Stoll had been engaged in digging for them. That at Palmyra he pretended to tell by looking at the stone where coined money was buried in Pennsylvania, and while at Palmyra had frequently ascertained in that way where lost property was of various kinds. That he had occasionally been in the habit of looking through the stone to find lost property for 3 years, but of late had pretty much given it up on account of its injuring his health. Rubbish. Especially his eyes, making them sore. That he did not solicit business of this kind, and had always rather declined having anything to do with this business. Okay, these are court records. Okay, they're fair, impartial. Okay. Josiah Stoll sworn says that prisoner had been at his house something like 5 months, had been employed by him to work on farm part of time, that he pretended to have skill of telling where hidden treasures in the earth were by means of looking through a certain stone. That prisoner had looked for him sometimes, once to tell him about money buried in Bend Mountain in Pennsylvania, once for gold on Monument Hill, and once for a salt spring, and that he positively knew that the prisoner could tell and did possess the art of seeing those valuable treasures through the medium of said stone. That he found and we can't actually read the word there, at Bend and Monument Hill as prisoner represented it. That prisoner had looked through the medium of said stone, that he found the... Oh, sorry, I'm doubling up, sorry. At Bend and Monument Hill as prisoner represented it. That prisoner had looked through said stone for Deacon Attleton for a mine. Did not exactly find it, but got a, and the word starts with P, we're assuming it's piece, of ore which resembled gold, he thinks. That prisoner had told by means of the stone where a Mr. Bacon, or Mr. X, no, Mr. Bacon had buried money. That he and prisoner had been in search of it. That prisoner had said it was in a certain root of a stump 5 feet from surface of the earth, and with it would be found a tail feather. That said stole and prisoner thereupon commenced digging, found a tail feather, but money was gone. That he supposed the money moved down. That's convenient. They could have planted the feather. Anyway, back to the court documents. That prisoner did offer his services, and he never deceived him. That prisoner looked through stone and described Josiah Stoll's house and outhouses, while at Palmyra at Simpson Stoll's correctly. That he had told about a painted tree with a man's head painted upon it by means of said stone. That he had been in company with prisoner digging for gold, and that the most implicit, and had the most implicit faith in prisoner's skill. Okay, so here's Joe saying and admitting that he has looked for buried treasure. There's other people saying, yes, we believe him. He did find, a few things which he could have planted earlier, but the main stuff he never found. Anyway, back to the official court record. Harrod Stoll sworn says that he went to see whether prisoner could convince him that he possessed the skill he professed to have, upon which prisoner laid a book upon a white cloth and proposed looking through another stone which was white and transparent. Sorry, excuse me. No, it can ring. And proposed looking through another stone which was white and transparent. Hold the stone to the candle, turn his head to book and read. The deception appeared so palpable that witness went off disgusted. So I'm going to read that again because my phone was ringing. Harrod Stoll sworn says that he went to see whether prisoner could convince him that he possessed the skill he professed to have, upon which prisoner laid a book upon a white cloth and proposed looking through another stone which was white and transparent, hold the stone to the candle, turn his head to the book and read. The deception appeared so palpable that witness went off disgusted. McMaster sworn, i.e. he was sworn in as a witness. McMaster says he went to Harrod Stoll and likewise came away disgusted. Prisoner pretended to him that he could discover objects at a distance by holding this white stone to the sun or candle. That prisoner rather declined looking into a hat at his dark-coloured stone, as he said that it hurt his eyes. Jonathan Thompson says that prisoner was requested to look for chest of money, did look, and pretended to know where it was, and prisoner Thompson and yeomans went in search of it. That Smith arrived at spot first was at night. That Smith looked in hat while there, and when very dark, and told how the chest was situated. After digging several feet, struck upon something sounding like a board or a plank. Prisoner would not look again, pretending that he was alarmed on account of the circumstances relating to the trunk being buried, which came all fresh to his mind. That the last time he looked, he discovered distinctly the two Indians who buried the trunk, that a quarrel ensued between them, and that one of said Indians was killed by the other and thrown into the hole beside the trunk to guard it, as he supposed. Thompson said that he believes in the prisoner's professed skill, that the board which he struck his spade upon was probably the chest, but on account of an enchantment, the trunk kept settling away from under them when digging, that notwithstanding they continued constantly removing the dirt, yet the trunk kept about the same distance from them. Says prisoner said that it appeared to him that salt might be found at Bainbridge, and that he is certain that prisoner can divine things by means of said stone. That is evidence of the fact prisoner looked into his hat to tell him about some money witness lost 16 years ago, and that he described the man that witness supposedly had taken it and the deposition of the money. And therefore the court finds the defendant guilty. Costs: warrant, 9 cents. Complaint upon oath, 25.5 cents. 7 witnesses, 87.5 cents. Recognizances, 25 cents. Mitimus, 19 cents. Recognizance of witnesses, 75 cents. Subpoena, 18 cents. $2.68, and that was published in Fraser's magazine, February 1876, pages 229 and 230. So here we go. Yes, Joseph Smith was arrested for conning people, saying he could see buried treasure. Mormons will say he was not convicted. They would have to prove that. Can they produce any document that says acquitted or found not guilty? No. Can we find documents that say Joseph Smith was convicted? Yes. So I'm sorry, Joseph Smith, convicted fraudster. Now that doesn't mean that disqualifies him from being a prophet. Okay? But you have to look at all aspects of Joseph Smith's life. Not from biased Mormon sources, independent sources. We find Joe to be a very unrepudiated person, addicted to vicious habits. He loved his drink. He loved alcohol. He was well known for getting pretty much legless. And he was a bit of a ladies' man. So, draw your own conclusions. Prove what I've said is wrong. Okay, we have official court documents that prove Joseph Smith was arrested and convicted for fraud.